Good morning. So today we are here to talk about our Keap landing pages. I'm going to take this opportunity to show you how to set up your Keap landing pages, show you how you can install your Google Pixel or your Google Analytics and your Facebook Pixel into your Keap landing page so that you can definitely track how those landing pages are being hit by your clients and possibly create some retargeting ads in Facebook and other media. So let's get started. So the way we are starting this morning, we are starting in our automation menu. This used to be called your campaign menu. How I got to this particular menu is I clicked the hamburger menu at the very top left corner. I then went over, found my automation builder section. I clicked it, and it brought me to this particular section. Again, it used to be called your campaign builder. To get started creating a new automation, we're going to go up here in the right-hand corner and click Create Your Own. We're going to create this new automation. Once we go in, we'll be able to add the new landing page information to get started with building. So we'll start off by labeling this particular automation that we're creating. I am creating this as a template for a travel organization so that they can then utilize this particular recording to help maybe train their virtual assistants and or additional staff. So we're going to title this as a travel guide download, because what the emphasis of this particular landing page is we want to have our clients to be able to go to our website. They will indicate that they would like to gather information about this particular journey. And once they have gone into this particular journey basic landing page, they'll be able to click that they would like to download said itinerary for that particular trip. Once they click that particular link, it will then take them directly to this Keap landing page where they'll be able to input their information in a form such as their name, their email address, telephone number, maybe date of birth. We're capturing that information in our CRM, of course, because our landing page will then have the Facebook Pixel, our Google Analytics. We will then be able to utilize that data to see how we want to maybe retarget the individuals that have asked for this information. It will help us definitely to reach back out to these clients since they are interested in said trip and be able to promote said travel journey to them. So again, I'm labeling this as travel guide download. We'll click save. Of course, you could have chosen what category you wanted to put this particular campaign in, and you can always go back and add that at a later time. We are now in our campaign builder, our automation builder, if you would. Again, we're going to start with a landing page. We want to start with the new landing pages that were created by Keap. Hopefully you are aware that there's been a change in the management of the Keap landing pages. The previous landing pages have now been turned over to, I think it's the name Convert is the name of the organization that's managing those particular landing pages. I think it was till February the 1st that you had to make that necessary change. If you have a number of landing pages that are set up in the old format, you can pay the new management company of Convert a particular fee on a monthly basis to be able to manage those for you. If you have not installed any of those old landing pages, then you'll love the new landing pages, and it, of course, is included with your Keap membership. So let's get started with a new landing page, and very nicely they put the word new on it to help you to identify them. So again, in this particular landing page, I'm going to label it as a travel guide download. Of course, once we're done, we'll have a separate one for each of our particular journeys that we will utilize. So I'm going to label it travel guide download. Let's go into it and let's get started. Let's ask us to select a landing page that we want to work with. This is if you've already created, say, a template that you want to utilize. And as I mentioned previously, you have the option to utilize a previous landing page as a template by simply selecting the drop down and choosing which one you'd like to use. In our case, we're going to create brand new. So I'm going to go here where it says create a landing page. We'll click on that. It will then bring us to a section where we will be able to look at multiple options as templates that have already been provided for you to utilize and make custom to what your needs are. Of course, if you have templates that you've created, You can go to My Templates and you'll see the ones that you created already, where you can utilize something you've already done. And you can see, of course, any that have already been published as an opportunity to utilize any of those as well. In our particular case, I am going to go with the gallery. I'm going to look at the options that are available and make a selection. So in this particular case, as I said, we want to capture client data. We want to capture the name, the email address, maybe the date of birth and telephone number, so that we're able to add these individuals to our CRM and then later target them in some of our ads for our particular travel journey. In this particular case, I want to find one of these particular templates that does just that, captures that data and information, and then we'll customize it to what our need is. So let's see what are some options that we might be able to utilize. All right, as we start to look at the templates that are offered, I think we're going to go with the creative agency template that's here. Let's preview that. The reason I think I want to go with this is because one of the things we want to do is to make sure whatever we're asking the client to do, it's immediately available as soon as they get to that particular site. So I like this because the capturing of that information is the very first thing at the top of this particular template. Of course, we can modify it as need be, but we want to make sure that that's at the top of the fold. If they're on the website and they're starting to scroll, we want it to be right there so they don't have to scroll. They can go ahead and put that information in. We're capturing that data. And then they can also just click download to download it. We can, of course, add some information about the journey. Below it, I do like that, where we can add some benefits and features of the journey and maybe some testimonials of previous journeys. So I think this is a good one that we'll go with. So let's try this one. So I've previewed it. Now I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to select this template. Again, it asks for the name of this particular one. So with this particular one, I'm going to actually give it a name for one of the journeys that we're working on. So I'm going to name this Travel Guide. See if I can type here. Travel Guide Download is what we had before, but this time I'm going to indicate for which one. So Australia Travel Guide Download, and I'm going to hit continue. It should bring this template up so that we can now start to work on this particular template, customize it the way we want it to be customized. So we'll give it a few moments to generate and come forth for us. Here it comes. All right. All right, it's important to point out the different sections of the template that you can modify. Of course, as you can see, it's kind of a drag and drop scenario of how it's set up. There are rows, columns, set up similar to Excel. So as you can see, as you scroll down, for instance, this very first section is one row. So you'll see where it says here at the bottom row. So that's your first row. Then as we continue to scroll down, you'll see the other rows. And it does say row at the very bottom right corner, so you can see that. Within each row, you could have multiple columns as an example. So as we're within this row, notice as I come over here, we've got a content block that has been put in here. This is where we're going to capture our client information. We've got some text content blocks that we've put in. As you'll see here to the right, this is what you're looking at here that we've added to the row. So again, this very first one, this content block, is one of the ones that's here. It's probably the heading content block that has been dragged over and dropped in. Again, same thing here. And then as we see here, this form section would be right here. As you can see, this is your drag and drop. So you simply just click on that particular item, hold it, drag it over, it'll automatically place it in. So as you can see, and then you can modify it, change the size, the width, the length of it, as it were. So just showing you how that would work. Now, if you've put something in like I just did and you like, I want to take that back out, pretty simple. Just go down here to the bottom right. You'll see that you can actually duplicate this or you can delete it. In this case, we're going to delete it since our template already had what we needed in it. And actually, I think it's the perfect size for what we need. So what I'm going to do now is start to customize this particular form to create exactly what I want for my client. Again, how will I customize it? I will simply click on the necessary areas, the widgets that I will call them, the blocks that we just mentioned, and make the necessary adjustments. I can also, of course, modify the fonts, the colors, you name it, we can modify it. So as an example, how do I do that? On this row, if I wanted to modify the row and the background of the row, I simply click on that particular row section. It will give me on the far right-hand side several options of modifying this. One tip I will remind you of. Remember that this may show up different on a desktop than on a mobile device. You have that option to make adjustments for desktop and mobile device here at the top right. So as you can see, we've got desktop, which is what we're working on. But if we want to make sure we know what it looks like on a mobile, we can click the mobile tab that's there, and then you'll be able to see what it looks like on someone's phone. You can make modifications here to make it look appealing on a phone, which of course most people are accessing things these days on their phones. So you definitely want to do this, and it will not impact how it looks on your desktop. But we're going to start with the desktop version. Again, I've clicked on that particular row. I can come here and modify it accordingly. As you can see here in the top, you can even change the number of columns that's there as a part of the row. We pretty much have one column that's a part of this design, and we'll leave it as is because I think that works perfect for us. You can come down, you can make adjustments to, the margins along each of these particular widgets that we put in. Again, change coloring, so many things that you have the ability to do simply here on the right-hand side. In our particular case, I do want to change that background, want to make it a little different. As you'll see here, it indicates row properties, and it's told us what the row property colors look like. So I'm going to click on that. I do have some brand colors, so I want to put in my brand colors, so I'm going to type that in so that we can make a change to some of the things that are back there. As you can see, no change took place specifically, but we were dealing with the background color. We've got a content background color as well. Got a couple of different things that we would need to make adjustments to for everything to change. So let's look at how we would actually do that. As you saw, I tried to change the background to my brand color. It did not make that change. So in most cases, when something like that happens, it's probably an image. An image has probably been put in the background, and you may want to change the image, remove the image, and just use a color. Totally up to you. In this case, I think I want to remove the image and either put in my own image or add some particular color to it. So let's try that out and see what we want to do. How did I know there's an image there? So again, as we are looking at the row, because that's what we're dealing with, we're looking at the row properties. As we scroll down, we tried the background color. We didn't get any change there. Content background, of course, is changing the background for each of these content sections. And then as I continue to scroll, I said, well, wait a minute, something's not changing. So as I look down here under image URL, as you can see here, you can upload an actual picture. You can put in a URL for that particular graphic, and it will take the background. So as an example, I'm going to take this URL out. By doing so, it brings us back to white because it's taken that actual image out. At this point, I can either create a scenario where I'm putting in another image, or I can change the background to a specific color. Just kind of depends on what your desire is. I think I want to try and upload an image. I'm not quite sure what kind of image I want to upload, but let's try it. So I'm going to click on Upload Image, and it will come forth where you can go to your computer, find whatever image you're looking for to add to your background. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to search through for a minute and see what I can find as an option for me to utilize and to put in. I'm sure this is not the image that I want as we're dealing with Australia. So let me take a moment and see what I can find and what we'll put in. Okay, now that I've been able to locate the graphic that I want to use, I've been able to pull that in. So again, the way we added this graphic by simply clicking Upload Image, and it gave me the option to pull this from a multitude of drive options that I have here. So I was able to grab this image and plug that in. It automatically fills in. Of course, our graphic already had some wording on it. Therefore, we'll probably need to remove some of the wording from the original template for this landing page. So that's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to remove this header because we already have one in there. So again, how do you do it? You simply click on that particular widget, and we're going to click delete. So I'm taking that particular piece out. As you can see, it automatically moves that form section up for us, and it has decreased the actual height of the background, which we can increase, and I'll show you how to do that in just a few moments. Of course, things are a little tight now based on the shrinkage of that particular section. So let's go back in and adjust that particular section as far as its properties. So again, we're dealing with a row, and we're dealing with the row's properties is what we're dealing with. So we're going to scroll down to the section that indicates row properties, and we're going to come down here and figure out how do we make a change in regards to the width. We've already got it set up as a full width scenario, but we now want to add a little more margin, or if you would, a little more padding around the side so we get a full visual of the graphic that's there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to look for the area that I can change the width and height, which I can do here, or I can change just the padding around it to make the necessary change. So let's see if we can change the padding a little bit and see if that makes a difference at all. So we want to change the top and the bottom, of course, as far as to the spacing around it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a little bit to the padding and see if that might make a change. So I'll add that 50. As you can see, it did definitely increase the space that was there because it's added some padding around this particular row. I'm going to go and do the same for the bottom and see how that makes a difference. As you can see, it begins to really increase, and now I can see the wording that is there. But it looks like we probably need to increase a little bit more on both the top and the bottom. So let's see. I'm going to change this to 70, and I'm going to go down and do the same on the bottom, change that to 70. And now we've got some padding around this lead capture information section, or widget, if you would, that we have here. Of course, we already had another widget in there that we're again going to remove as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take that particular piece out. Again, it's going to make some adjustment and shrink us up a little bit. And we can make the adjustment after we've completed what we want to do with this. We've got a section here for the logo. I don't know if I want to put the logo there. I need to decide where I might want to put the logo. So I'm just going to take that out for just the time being. But the main point here is you can adjust as you need be in regards to the things that are listed within this particular row. And then you can go back and adjust the row again as you need in order to address what you're trying to complete. So again, I want to create that space, if you would, where I can see my full graphic along with the wording that's there. So now that I've removed all the widgets that I want to remove, I now want to make sure I've created some space around this particular widget so that I can see the full graphic behind it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretty much do the same thing we just did for the row. I'm going to go and see where I can change the measures, if you would, the padding around the top and the bottom of this particular document so that we can see a little bit more of the picture. As you can see here for this container, we already have a 40 pixel padding on the top and 80 pixel padding on the bottom. That's why we have all this space that's here at the bottom. We can potentially increase that, or we can go back to the row and increase it. I'm thinking that probably in this case, it's the row that we want to really increase and not really the space around the actual container there. So let's try that. Let's go back to the row and change that. And as you saw, pretty easy. Just click on the graphic. It takes you back to the row. Again, we can come back down and find those properties for the row itself. So this time, I think I'm going to change this to 150. I'm going to do the same for the bottom and see how that looks. All right, so we still don't see everything. And then looking at the actual container, we now are going to have to definitely make some changes with the container because we can't see the wording at the top of the graphic. So in order to continue, first of all, so we can see the remainder of the wording at the bottom on this particular row, I'm going to increase the bottom padding again, additionally, so that we can see that. Now we can see the full wording on the bottom, but of course our container is now covering slightly the wording that's at the top of the graphic. This is an example of, do I want to use a graphic that has wording or not? Because you would have to go through this process. If my graphic didn't have any wording on it, then this would be pretty simple. I wouldn't necessarily have to make all these particular changes so that we could see that. But I use graphic with wording, so it is what it is. All right, so now we're going to go back again, click on this particular container, and pretty much do the same thing until we can see the wording around. We already had determined that we have a padding that's on the top and the bottom of this particular container. We've got a significant amount of space around the bottom of the container. Looks like we need more space around the top of the container, again, so we can see the full content that's at the top of the graphic that's here. So let's change the top of the graphic to create some additional padding. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and change that to match with the bottom. As you can see, it immediately provided us some space there where we can now see the full amount. I like consistency and width around the container. Again, the space between the top and the bottom of the letters that I have on my graphic. So I'm going to, again, continue to work with that to try and equalize that along the way so that you can pretty much have the same distance along the top of the container as the bottom of the container. So let me see. I'm going to update this, and let's see. I'm going to put in 125. You just kind of have to play around with it to see how it comes out. All right, that's a little more padding that was added. We still don't have the same amount of space between the two areas. Let me try again and see where that goes. That's gotten better, definitely. I think if we do just a little bit more, I think we'll be perfect. I think that's good. I think we got roughly the same amount of space at the bottom as we do at the top here between our graphic wording. I think it looks pretty good. Now, if you want to see what this looks like live for your client, let's just simply click the preview button that's here. We can see what it looks like live for our client, again, on a desktop. So this is a desktop view of what we would see. So it's the first thing the client sees. So it's at the top of the fold. We're perfect there. We're capturing that information at the very top, where we'll gather the information that we are looking for, that name, that email address, etc., for them to be able to download the item, and we'll be able to change the button to indicate download. That way they can get exactly what they came to this site to